evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to this evening's Sixth Form Welcome event. It's cracking to have people here on site, and lovely to have so many of you at home who've been able to join us through Teams. We are very, very excited to be able to speak to you this evening about the first few weeks of the A-level curriculum that your children have been experiencing, but also go through some of the things that you as parents can help your children do in terms of supporting their kind of ongoing education here at Kingsdale and beyond. So we do hope that it's a valuable evening. There is going to be quite a lot of information, but at the end there will be an opportunity for a Q&A, both on Teams and in person. And we do have members of the pastoral and curriculum staff here to answer any questions specific to the courses or tutor groups that your children are in. So, as I said, a very, very warm welcome, and my name is Tom Unwin. I'm Director of Sixth Form, also with responsibility for Year 13, as well as being an A-level geography teacher as well. I'm going to just do a few introductions, if I may. Firstly, to my right, I'd like to introduce Miss Gwen Boyd, who is the head of the senior and the upper school, which incorporates Year 11, 12 and 13. To Mrs. Boyd's right, we have Mr. Hilton. Mr. Hilton is the head of lower sixth, Year 12, and someone that you will get to know very, very well over the next 2 years. I'd also like to introduce the tutors. If I start from the far left, introduce Mr. Ross, one of the tutors. We've got Miss Stone, we've got Miss Corley, Mr. Hare, Mr. Adjia, and Miss McIntyre. Sorry, Miss Walnut, apologies. And they are again here to answer any of your questions that you may have as we go through the evening. So just a little bit about the next couple of years. So obviously your sons and daughters will be the class of 2023, and by the summer of 2023 the vast majority of students will have completed their A-level subjects, and one will hope that the experience that they receive is different to the last 18 months or so. And they will be making some fairly serious decisions, or will have already made some fairly serious decisions about what they do post-18. And thinking about taking the next step. And there's part of the evening is to kind of go through some of the options that will be available and the support that will be available for your sons and daughters in terms of how they make those decisions. But generally, we find that students here do experience a really holistic kind of educational experience. There's lots and lots of really fantastic things going on, and we are going to mention a few of those things this evening. Without further ado, I am going to hand over to Mrs. Boyd, head of Upper and Senior School, who would like to say a few words. Mrs. Boyd.
Thank you. Just welcome to this evening. I'm just going to say a few things. So in case people are not aware, I do teach A-level, but I haven't really got Year 12, so I'm actually only teaching biology and chemistry A-level, current Year 13, and also teaching Year 11 GCSE. So most of the students know me very well, and even all the external students do know who I am very well. And what is actually really good is to actually continue with them from Year 11 all the way through to the sixth form. So the first couple of weeks they have settled in very, very well. And they've got lots of experienced teachers, so we've got lots of the form tutors are maths teachers, science, art, etc., where the students can get some support. So the week has started with saying to them, to most of the Year 11s, what we expect from them, what the big difference between GCSE and A-level is. So that's the last sort of couple of weeks, getting them used to their timetables. And I think what's happened in the first couple of weeks, because we like to try and share some information, some of the students started off with 4 or 5, they realised, wow, it's quite a lot, so some of the students have dropped subjects. What they're not allowed to do, they're not allowed to drop the subjects without your signature. And so I have said to the students, I just would like them to be good for us to communicate together as a school, as a family. So if your son and daughter is doing certain subjects they want to swap, or if they're doing 5, I generally will sign it, even the parent hasn't signed it, because I know 5 is quite a lot of A-levels to do, which they don't need 5. So I have said, and I just said in the study school, they only need 3, some do 4, most people do 3 or 4, which is fine. So the first couple of weeks, if the student wants to not enjoy their A-level subject, might advise that to try and drop it earlier. So if they pick up a subject, they realise, oh, I didn't really sort of like it, I actually advise them try and drop it by half term. so they pick up another A level. It's not wise that they try and pick up another A level later on in the year, because the teacher will cover that subject. So again, if they do want to do that, they need to drop it earlier on and pick up subject early. This week has also been quite a few information. So there are some students which they'll be given information about workshops, about courses, about projects. So we've spoken to them into assembly, and where we've said to the students, if you've been A-level, doing A-level, you have to be some independent. Some information go up on a notice board. When it goes up on a notice board, the student's supposed to read that information. We are going to look at doing a parent bulletin just for sixth form parents, and what we'll have in there might be courses and stuff that you want to know what's going on. What we've discussed, that UCL offers lecturers for all subjects, whether it's history, whether it's English, whether it's psychology, whether it's science. It's very good that they actually go and register. They don't have to go there, they can do it online. So a lot of universities, mainly UCL and Imperial, but mainly UCL, they do workshop every Friday. They'll be starting that after October. So it will be some professor doing something, I don't know, in history or geography. They are entitled to actually go on site if they want to, or they can do it online. Things like that is really good for their CV, for their Ucas. So they've been told that. So we're going to discuss as a group, as a team, maybe to create a parent bulletin, so information that can be put. Now the reason I'm saying it, I'm a parent myself. Got 2 kids myself. My son never tells me anything. I have to try and get things out of him. And I know, like with his school, everything is sent to me, and I like that as a parent, so I can be on top of it and also support my child. So we are going to do that, and most of the kids do know me very well. I always say, well, I won't sign it unless your parents sign it. So that's what's been done sort of this week. 20 year 12, quite a lot of them actually, all want to either do medicine or dentistry. So they'll be off timetable on Monday the 27th. So the Royal Society of Medical School is coming to the school on Monday. They're going to start preparing things like BMAT. Now BMAT is a qualification you have to do on top of your A levels if you want to apply to Oxford, Cambridge, Imperial and UCA in particular, and I think it's a 5th one which is Leeds. So they have to sit this exam, so we want to try and prepare them early. They'll sit it this time next year. We are also preparing them for LNAT. LNAT is if you want to do law. So that course has also started to run. So the information has been given to the parents. So we haven't sent that information been given to students. We haven't sent that information to parents, which we will do that. So that will be done on Monday. So 20 of them will be off timetable 9 to 4. They'll get a booklet and they'll be sort of taught and prepared. So that's the sort of 2 things that sort of happened this week. We've also been preparing and training the students how to organise themselves from the beginning. So that means they've been given folders or little gifts that we sent to them. They've been told, you know, if you want to do A level, it's just not just reading, just doing what you do in class, you've got to do further reading. Now, I know one of the form tutors, Ms. Annika, was in charge of EPQ. She's ordered things like journals. So the next couple of weeks, we're going to have new scientists, economic magazines. There'll be loads of these magazines that will be available for the students to read. So we're going to start encouraging them to get used to that kind of sort of idea. So also, we're going to ask you, when it's finished, some of the departments on there where you can speak to the department and find out about what they're learning. I've also asked the students, they need to have a specification. So they need to have their own copies, so it's taking of what they learn and what they have to learn. So they need to learn to be independent, it's not given to them. Year 12, some of them being year 12s, no one being year 11s, they still think they're year 11. So there's some of them being a bit troubled with me today because they thought, oh, let's have some fun, play basketball in our lots of free periods. So they got a bit trouble with me today. We're not in year 11. I can see some of them smiling because they had assembly today. So I did say to them, you're not in year 11. This is not GCSE where you're going to pick up a book the night before and get an A. So you've got to try and use your time wisely. So again, if parents are finding that they're not doing what they're told, oh, please do email me and we can try and support the school. And they were very lovely and good. They did say they want to play the basketball during the time when they should be studying. So it's been really good getting to know their teachers, having a bit of fun, getting lots of information. So I'm going to pass you now to Mr. Hilton. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ward. Pleasant good evening and warm welcome to Kingsdale I'm Glenroy Hilton. I'm head of lower sixth form, as Mr. Unwin said earlier. Just going to go through a few items really, and much of which will be a reiteration of what Ms. Boyd said earlier. Firstly, our vision. Well, we'd like to probably break this down into, say, 3 or 4 different parts. It's quite important, and we have been saying this quite a lot to students, that we want to see a development of respect for our rules in Kingsdale. It's fair to say that our year 12s they're catching on most of what what we want from them. However, the dress code still, is an issue for most of our students, I must say, and that is something we're trying to get right. Each day, we do want our students to look semi-professional, so to speak, and not to be wearing jeans and trainers and these sort of things, hoodies. We want to avoid those as much as possible. It's not to say that in the professional world, that may not be acceptable, but certainly, as parents, as we do as teachers, that, for some careers, that's perfectly acceptable. But we want to be uniformed in our approach to sixth form. Nextly, we want to get students to participate, of course, in a wide range of activities, including enrichments, the open days and evenings that we have like today, and to recognize the value of contributing beyond the classroom. I'm sure that you can appreciate this. And while doing so, develop respect for one another, each other, both at school and outside in their broader Kingsdale community. And as Ms. Boyd has said earlier, we really want students to take on the responsibility of taking their studies seriously. They are at sixth form to excel and to become the best in what they do. So it's really important that they attend all of their classes on time, that they fully utilize their study periods, complete all homework, and engage in wider reading. So we do want to motivate our students. We want them to be committed, and we want them to be as organized as they possibly can be. Now, where do you come in as parents? Of course, you know this already, but of course, we do want you to support your child as best as you can. And certainly you don't need me or anyone to tell you how to do this, but we'll just remind you of a few key things. I mentioned the uniform before. Just try to get them to come to school in the proper uniform and wears, so we can get them to start appreciating these values that they need to take beyond sixth form. Attendance and punctuality are 2 important key factors as well. Students who fail to attend or be at school on time for at least 2 sessions will be asked to stay for extended study periods on Fridays. Just to let you know, please make a note of that. That's important. Office 365, students would now have received their emails and their passwords, and this is to be used to access Office 365, Teams, and Show My Homework. This is really, really important, actually. Just please double check that all students can access Office 365 and that they're watching their Teams and their homework at all times. Yes. Oh, yeah. It's fine. So
she's just on.
Probably some technical difficulties. I'm sure they're probably trying to sort that one out as I speak. Thank you, Abu. Thank you very much. But yes, I think a few minutes. It'll probably come back in time, anyways. But I'm sure that you're aware of what I'm talking about when I say Microsoft Teams and when I say Office 365. Most of our communication takes place through these channels, so it's really important that students are, using these facilities. Now, we are doing other things to look after our sixth formers. trying to keep them happy, especially in the era of post-COVID. So, for example, we're encouraging students to have more one-to-one sessions with their tutors, with their teachers, with our mentors on site to get involved in things like art therapy and all the enrichment activities that we have on site as well. This is really important as we try to get students to have the right mental frame of mind to do their studies and to also participate in the wider Kingsdale activities. Now, we also have career advisory, career advisors for one-to-one sessions, and even during this week we've had that actually. So we are planning to do this on a continuous basis, and we want to encourage students to participate in these forums. There are one-to-one sessions where students get to sit with a career advisor, ask questions, and get advice in terms of how to go forward with their careers and the pitfalls and the opportunities that lie ahead. There are some important key dates. If you're not able to write them down today, I wouldn't worry too much. We will constantly be reminding you of these dates and sending you these dates in emails as well as posting them on our website. But I will mention a few. There's the Year 12 exam week, which begins on the 18th of October. There are half-termly assessments throughout Year 12 and 13. And the Year 12 exam week 2 in particular begins on the 7th of February. And then we'll have A-level exams next summer before we have post-Kingsdale. Again, if you haven't quite got these dates written down exactly, as I've said earlier, I would not worry too much. These dates would be communicated again through other media. So next slide. The key to learning for exams. Now, students have participated, as you would be aware, in study skills sessions last week and the previous week. And some of the important things which were communicated to students include how to use their memory to recall knowledge and to use that knowledge in their subject areas and in their wider lives. So we have encoding, for example, where we try to encourage students to understand different ways of making sense of knowledge. Then we ask students to develop ways of storing that knowledge and then to find other means of retrieving the knowledge from their long-term memory. Now, just coming off card for a second here, I'm sure you can appreciate as parents, you have been through this process as well. You know what it's all about. It's sometimes just literally writing things on cards and putting them on the walls of their bedrooms. So it's not too scientific at times, really. It's the normal everyday chores that you're accustomed to doing. And so for our next slide then, 5 ways you can help. As Ms. Boyd mentioned earlier on, it's useful to help students to promote organization. So it's from folders, and students are organized in different ways. For me, it's just putting my football shoes at the door so I can actually pick them up when I'm leaving, rather than storing them in the garage. So there are different ways of organizing, and you know your children best. So you should be able to work with them to get the best from them in that way. Knowledge organizers are very important, but as we've always said, practice makes perfect. So it's all great to say that we have the knowledge, but then how do you encourage students to keep on practicing and regurgitating that knowledge so they can put it in practice? We do test frequently. I wouldn't say overly, but frequently, just about enough to encourage students to recall this knowledge at Kingsdale as well. But I do want to encourage you as parents to take note of these testing times, dates and strategies, and to see if you can reinforce what students should have got from their tests in school. Right, at this point, I'm going to leave it there and ask Mr. Unwin to come and communicate with you some more of the important opportunities which are available through Kingsdale. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hilton. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our enrichment offer that we give students. We're very fortunate that students have 2 hours off timetable every Wednesday in which they can engage in a variety of different activities that we put on at the school. This varies from physical activities, we run various sports clubs, to volunteering opportunities at local primary schools. But also we use the Wednesday afternoon sessions as our platform to invite speakers in from various different organisations across London and the wider area. And previously we've had apprenticeship talks from people from Transport for London, KPMG. We've had career events at school. We also take, under normal circumstances, this is running remotely this year, but we take students off to Kensington Olympia to the What Career Live events, and there are stalls from universities and employers who speak to the students and give them a feel for what it's like, particularly universities, particular courses, but also particular careers. We work very closely with the Sutton Trust, which is a social mobility scheme to try and support students who want to apply for university outside the UK. And as we've alluded to, we use companies like Positively Mad to help with some study skills. We've also, as Mr. Boyd alluded to earlier, we've got Mr. Rajia, who is in charge of our extended project qualification. Again, an opportunity for students to kind of learn outside the box and research something that they're interested in that they wouldn't ordinarily be studying in class. Next slide, please. I feel like Chris Whitty. Thank you. The primary vehicle at Kingsdale for us to get the students to really think about their careers, education, information and guidance is Unifrog. Now, Unifrog, if you're a Year 11 student at Kingsdale, it is something you will be familiar with, but it's a fantastic platform, kind of a one-stop shop for everything careers. So students will be given Unifrog login, which will be sent to the Office 365 email account, and they can use that to search a whole plethora of different things, to look for different university courses, to look for different university cities, to study MOOCs, massive open online courses, to look for apprenticeship opportunities. It's updated every 24 hours, so apprenticeship opportunities come up and change every single day, and it's a fantastic, fantastic platform for students to use. They can create their own profiles, their form tutors and myself and Mr. Hilton and Mrs. Boyd, we can see what students are doing. There are weekly competitions to see how much of their Unifrog online profile they've created and used. They can create a careers library, which can involve a variety of different things that they've researched. One of the things that I think is the best about Unifrog, particularly in Year 12, is for those students who have absolutely no idea as to what they want to do when they leave school. And what there is, there's a feature called Subjects Library, so you can type in the 3 or 4 A-levels that you're doing, and you can look at what careers are available or courses are available for students who've studied similar A-levels before them. And I think that's a really, really good way to just explore. This is the stage in Year 12 where you should just be kind of scratching the surface, opening the book in terms of what you can do. Not necessarily, I mean, you may have your heart set on exactly what you want to do, and I know some people do. But it is an opportunity to explore what's out there, and I think that's why Unifrog and Ucas and the career events that we get students to go to are a really, really useful tool to help them with that. Not only does it help them search these opportunities, but it also helps them to apply for them. So we have a fantastic CV and personal statement side to the platform, and the students will be doing things during their tutor times to kind of build up that bank of kind of the portfolio of things that they should be including in their CVs and resumes and personal statements. So do keep an ear out for Unifrog. We will be sending some correspondence to you over the next few weeks once the Unifrog platform is set up for the Year 12s. But going back to the point about communication and using the systems that we have, like the emails, it's really, really important that you encourage your children to do that. In the age that we are in, and the fact that we are all, after kind of lockdowns, we're also computer literate with so many different platforms. I think we really have an opportunity to gather momentum in terms of how we communicate these things with the students, and I think that's a really, really useful thing to have. So I'm just going to go through a couple of key dates. I hope you don't mind, Mr. Hilton. I'll take this bit if that's okay. And so, Natalie, if you wouldn't mind changing, that would be great. Next one.
Slides have gone again.
Oh, slides have gone again. Great. Okay. Right. Well, I will speak to you about this, and obviously the slides will be available at the end of the presentation via the Teams Q&A, and also they will be disseminated through Teams to the students as well, so you can see them that way. But the first key date is coming up in a couple of weeks, Monday the 18th till Friday the 22nd of October. We have the first exam week. Now, you know, the reality is that the students, the lower sixth students, haven't had a huge amount of time to study, you know, massive amounts of the curriculum that they are for the subjects that they're in. But it is kind of an opportunity to get back into those exam routines. I know certainly Kingsdale were very, very thorough in the way that they examined their GCSE students and A-level students last summer. But this again, in terms of the rigours available, it gives you an idea of what to expect and where you are. We have Parents' Evening on the 8th of December, Wednesday, and that will be following the results of the exams, but also the first full report that your students will receive. Sorry, your children will receive. The second exam week is from the 7th to the 11th of February, and then those results will be issued just after the February half term. Now, I think one of the most important weeks is what we call the progression exams, and these are an opportunity to really show how much progress you have made over the course of the year, and they happen from Monday the 27th of June. Now, those people who are also thinking about applying to universities, it is at this point where the teachers will kind of make a judgment as to where they believe the students will be at the end of year 13, and that is primarily for university, apprenticeship, conservatoire, college applications for when they leave school. I would add that these exams do not dictate the absolute predicted grade that the student will get. We look at it holistically, and we try to be as aspirational but as pragmatic as possible when it comes to these predicted grades. But obviously they are a really important part of the year's kind of assessment schedule. And then going back to personal statements and resumes, we look before the end of term, just before the summer, for students to have at least submitted their first draft of their personal statements, whether that be applying for an apprenticeship, applying for a conservatoire, or applying for a university. Not everybody applies for universities at the end of year 12. At the end of year 13. Many of our students do go on to do gap years and do travelling, get a job, but they then come back to us in the following year, and we are able to then support their university application following that. Each student will be issued a Ucas Advisor. Normally it comes from their tutors, but if there's subject-specific things that tutors may not be able to answer, then they are issued a subject-specific tutor as well. Kind of following on from that, we do have a Ucas information evening, a university application and apprenticeship information evening at the end of March, which, all being well, will be in person. We'll obviously blend it as well, but hopefully by then we can have more and more people who are coming onto the school site. So that's a date, but we will give you more correspondence about that nearer to the time. So that is pretty much it. I will also put on the slides a link to the complete university guide. This is a really useful tool, again, like Unifrog, to have a little look at universities. It shows you league tables, but not just league tables in terms of general universities, league tables in terms of the courses, because the law in one place might be much better than law in another place, but and so on and so forth. So the link is there for you to have a look at your leisure. And again, it's useful to do these with your children in tow, so that you can kind of get that dialogue started as soon as possible. So this kind of just it falls for me to finish. I'd like to see this year and the next 2 years really as an opportunity. Kingsdale Sixth Form is outstanding. We're very, very proud of what we've created and the kind of culture that we've fostered over the last 12 years since the Sixth Form has been running. And we obviously do support students of kind of all abilities to get to places that they want to be. I would like to thank you very much on behalf of the school and the pastoral team and Mrs. Boyd and Mr. Hilton for coming today, both online and in person. We do have now an opportunity for you to speak with teachers, and I will be running the Q&A on the chat on Teams. So if there are some questions from parents at home, please do feel free to write them in the Q&A, and I will be here just sort of triaging and answering any questions as as we go through the evening. So please do take the opportunity to speak to parents.
Just before we do go,
Sorry, Mrs. Wood.
would you just let the parent know about Bo and his competition?
Oh yes, of course, yeah. So one of our students, Bo Cresser, very proactively entered himself into the Oriel College Oxford's philosophy writing essay competition against schools, many schools, not only in the UK but also abroad. We had private schools in Singapore, we had a lot of the public schools around the UK and many local grammar schools as well. The top prize for this was a £250 prize, and Bo Cresser actually won the prize and has been commended by many of the philosophy professors at Oriel College in Oxford, who have said that it was one of the most outstanding pieces of writing that they have ever seen from somebody who is at such a young age. So we do congratulate Bo on that, and we're obviously very proud of his achievements. Please keep an eye out for the parent bulletin this week, where we will be sharing a link for you to actually read his work. So it's
I just like to say he'd done it on his own. So I just got some emails saying, Miss Boyd, look, I just decided to write an essay. I felt strongly about it. So something that he saw, and he won. So it was really quite good to show, and really quite good. So we had assembly and we did celebrate that today. So which is really good. We do show independent as well. So that's something we were really sort of proud of. I've read it and it was fantastic. I sort of went and sort of read. And just before you go off, the booklet has been given to the students, so the students year 12 know what's in the text.
Yeah, sorry, let me just elaborate. Yeah? So we've obviously, sorry, I was meant to mention this earlier. We obviously have the exams coming up on the 18th of October. Students have been given topic lists with not only the exam boards but also revision resources. That has been shared on Teams, and letters and the topic list with a supplementary letter to you will be going out first thing tomorrow morning. So please do keep an eye out on your emails, because that will be sent electronically for that. And you can see every single subject, every single topic list for the exams, and it just gives them a little bit of focus in terms of what's going to be coming up. The exams will be an hour and a half long. There'll be one paper. This is all mentioned in the letter. There'll be one paper per subject, and the exam week will last for 1 week. It does, I do hasten to add that it's important that students realise that lessons still continue as normal during the week, even if they may have some disruption through attending examinations, but they should be attending their normal lessons if they have them timetabled. So again, thank you very much for coming today. Please do give me... Hello?
Can I give you a couple of questions? Would that be okay?
That's fine, yes.
So I've got one parent asking, thanking us for tonight, and then could you explain what Articulate is and what the students are expected to do?
Yeah, so Articulate is an art competition where students decide a topic that they want to make a speech and a presentation about. Normally this happens during enrichment, and Miss Montero is our Articulate, it's our G&T coordinator for art, and she runs the Articulate programme. What happens is then the student speeches then go forward into a competition, start off with a regional competition, so South East London, it then goes to London-wide, and then it is a national competition. 2 years ago, Lottie Simpson, one of our students, actually won Articulate, the national competition, and last year Dot Ward finished second nationally, so we have quite a rich history of the Articulate competition. So if anyone wants to get involved in Articulate, please do send us an email. But it does happen on a Wednesday afternoon during enrichment. I hope that answers that question.
It does. I've got a few. Is it okay if I go through?
Can I just say one thing before you just do the next question? If parents who are here, because you have to come up to school, if you like to just speak to subject tutors, you're free to go, or you can stay and listen to the questions online, and the tutors will be available outside to speak to yourself. Then we can stay and answer the team question, and we can answer your questions when you finish. So I think it's a bit unfair. Okay. So you're free to go and speak.
Okay, Natalie, carry on.
Okay, so the next question is if a child is volunteering or doing an enrichment, how will they access external speakers who come in if they're volunteering or organisation somewhere else?
Yeah, we'd always stream them, so we can record it and they can watch it back at a later date.
Thank you. What's the percentage of students that go on to university?
So of the students that apply to university, we have a 100% success rate. As a percentage, we normally have 90% of our students will apply and go to university each year. 10% will either be deferring or will be going into some kind of employment-based training.
Okay. My next one is, when will students who have received a maths scholarship be given the details of what this involves?
Yeah, so what it normally involves is opportunities for workshops, normally through Imperial and King's. What I would say is that my colleague, Mr. Otieno, who is in charge of the Maths Scholarship Programme, is the best person to contact. And if, Natalie, if you wouldn't mind just putting the Maths Department email address in the chat, in the Q&A, that would be great.
No problem, I'll do that in a second.
Thank you.
My son is studying his AS levels. What is the criteria for changing subjects later on?
So he has what date are we on now? He has just under 2 weeks to change subjects. We make it quite quick because we don't want the students to miss out. It is absolutely possible for him to change subjects now. What I would just caveat that with is the if his grades aren't what in the subject that he wants to change to, if his GCSE grades aren't high enough, then he would not be able to swap over at this stage. So we have to make sure that the grades are in line with what the expectation is. I would also add that the class sizes as well needs to be considered to make sure that there is space in the particular class. Okay, and I probably could answer this as well with you, Mr. Unwin. Presumably, Parents' Evening will be available online. Well, I'll answer this as well. We've always, since COVID, we've been running Parents' Evenings online and not in person. And I imagine we'll be doing this for the foreseeable because most parents prefer this option. Yeah. I don't know if you want to add to that, Mr. Unwin. No, I would say it's something that, you know, has worked really well during COVID and lockdown. So I would say, I mean, this is not confirmed, but I would say that the school would look to run the similar program. It's been pretty successful in the past. Perfect, and I will add this email address on as well because someone's saying their son hasn't received the Office 365, but the email address required if you haven't received it is askict@kingsdale.southwark.sch.uk, but I will put that in the chat, so I'll put the maths email and the IT email in. That's great. I'm just having a look. I think I've covered most of the questions now, Mr. Unwin, so I will put the oh, sorry, one last question. They understand there's some revision sessions during the half term. Can you elaborate more on this, please? So this half term, because they will have just finished their exams, it will be down to the individual teachers. So there'll be no formal revision sessions, but the individual teachers are very will be, you know, if they have that arrangement with that local arrangement with the students, they will be running some revision sessions. However, February half term, Easter holidays and May half term, there will be a formal revision, A-level revision schedule that will be disseminated to students and parents that teachers will be running. So do keep an ear to the ground when it comes to that. Through assemblies on Teams and through communications with parents, you will be, the students and parents will be given this information when it's ready. Okay, I can't see any more, Mr. Unwin. So I think that's about it for this evening. Perfect. Yeah, okay, thanks, Natalie. I've answered some on the chat as well, so they were just ones that I didn't get round to. So thank you very much. Okay, brilliant. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you very much for your questions, everybody. Hope that hope that helps. Please do contact us at the school if there's anything that you are unsure about this evening, or if there are any questions that you think about when this session is over. And we very much look forward to working with you and speaking with you again. So thank you.